Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin video. Now, in this video, I'm going to try my best to answer a couple of questions. Question one, where will Bitcoin top out in this bull market? And question two, when will Bitcoin top out in this bull market? Now, obviously, I don't have the direct answers to these questions. No one does. That's the simple reality. But we're going to give an updated kind of projection of what the structure could look like in this cycle and whether the entire structure might just change altogether. Okay, we're going to start with this chart here. We're going to move into Bitcoin dominance. We're going to move into 4-year cycle. We're going to move into the monthly chart, very important stuff in the monthly chart. Before we get into any of that, before we try to answer those questions, go ahead and check out the VIP group on Telegram. Guys, we trade altcoins on the VIP group in altcoin trading signals posted to you guys 4 to 5 times a week. Those signals over the course of 18 months have a 77% win rate, and all of those results are fully transparent in a PDF document you can view for free. I do not hide my results. I show them publicly because I'm very proud of them. With that membership, you'll get access to the trading plans, obviously, and you'll also get access to a group chat where you can discuss the trading plans and kind of strategize with other VIP members. So check that out. Exclusive community there. Very good stuff. Get into it if you're interested. Let's get into the content here. I want to start off by looking at this chart, okay? This is a very important chart. Now, what you'll see on the screen here is kind of a overall macro structure for all of the Bitcoin cycles that forms kind of a range-bound construction that is kind of clamping together, almost like a cone shape on a long-term scale. And it's kind of actually, what it's doing really is it's representing Bitcoin's diminishing returns, okay? And that's why I like this kind of chart. I like logarithmic regression bands to a certain extent, although a lot of them I find are very faulty and have to be readjusted every single cycle. This has not have to have been readjusted yet. Okay, that's why I like this specifically, rather than a traditional logarithmic regression band that someone like Benjamin Cohen will show on his YouTube channel. I like this better. Okay, let's just explain what this is, and then I'll dive into it a bit more so you can understand it. Okay, so we have angled lines, angled linear lines on the logarithmic scale. The angle for the lower lines is predicting or trying to predict where the future Bitcoin bear market bottoms will be, and the angle top lines are trying to predict the future Bitcoin bull market tops. So we have a 35-degree angle from the 2015 low to the 2018 low. We have an 18-degree angle from 2018 through to 2022. We have a 28-degree angle from 2013 high to 2017 high. We have a 14-degree angle from 2017 to 2021. What do you notice about these 4 angles that I've circled? You'll notice that with the bear market angles, 35, okay, 18 is almost half of 35, or it's actually exactly half of 35 if we zoomed in a little bit closer and tried to pay more attention to the numbers specifically, but 18 is half of 35. Also, 14 is half of 28, okay? So we have a trend formed here, and the trend is that each cycle, okay, the angled line for the respective, whether it be top or bottom, halves. So we can extrapolate this further and we can say, okay, last time the bull market top angled line was 14 degrees. This time it will be 7 degrees, okay? 7 is half of 14. And last time it was 18 degrees. This time it will be 9 degrees because 9 is half of 18. So we have kind of formed a extrapolative structure for what Bitcoin could do, okay? And that's what these blue lines right here, stemming from the 2021 top and also stemming from the 2022 bottom are. They're speculative lines, but based on the historical data, they are consistent with those mathematical trends, and hence we can expect them to have some degree of relevance, right? So basically what we have here is a kind of range for Bitcoin to find a top or a bottom in the bull market we're currently in, and then in the bear market that we might see after the bull market, right? So we will, according to this trend, top out at this line here and bottom out at this line here. That is according to the trend. That's if the trend remains. Now, obviously, before I get comments spamming me saying, oh, but Wolf, this time's different, okay? There's obviously no guarantee at all that Bitcoin remains within these lines. There is obviously a possibility that Bitcoin just goes ahead and breaks it to the upside and tops out somewhere completely different. But if that is the case, that is unpredictable, and hence we cannot be concerned with it right now. If that happens, we will have to shift our strategy to a reactive strategy rather than a predictive strategy, okay? So I'm not saying this is the be-all, end-all. I'm just saying that this is what we have. This is the data we have, okay? And the trend is your friend until it ends, and as of current, it is not ended yet because we have not yet broken this kind of channel formation, or whatever you want to call it, right? We have not yet broken it. So the trend is still intact. And so with that knowledge, we're going to act as though the trend is going to remain intact just for the sake of video so we can get some realistic expectations of where Bitcoin's going to go. Now, obviously this is a moving line. So we've established that according to the historical trend, Bitcoin will top out in this bull market on this blue line. Again, it's not certain, but according to the trend, that is what's going to happen, okay? Now, it's not even really a prediction. I'm not even predicting that. I'm just saying, according to the trend, that's what's going to happen. There's very important clarifications there. But the point is, according to the trend, Bitcoin will top out in this bull market at this line. Now, the issue is, when is Bitcoin going to top out? Because if Bitcoin tops out today, that line's only going to take us to 105K. But if Bitcoin tops out as per regular 4-year cycle theory, that line's going to take us to 130K. And there's a pretty big difference there. So we need to, answer the question, well, we kind of know the vague region where Bitcoin's going to top out. It's going to be above 100K, but we don't know exactly where it's going to be unless we know when Bitcoin's going to top out according to this structure. So again, we can look at things like 4-year cycle. Now, the 4-year cycle is a date range trend on Bitcoin. It's been the kind of groundwork for any trend Bitcoin's ever had. Every kind of, most trends that Bitcoin's ever formed have in some way been connected to the 4-year cycle because the cyclical structure is all Bitcoin has ever seen, okay? Right now, it's still technically valid, although we have seen some kind of cracks in the armor, dents in the armor of it. So I'm not 100% convinced by it anymore like I was last cycle. But if it is to play out, it would suggest, as per date range trends, that Bitcoin tops out in October 2025. So let's just say, hypothetically, that Bitcoin does top out in October 2025, which again is very hypothetical and very speculative. That is around here. If we zoom up, we can see that would be at around a price point of around 130,000. So if Bitcoin was to top out as per 4-year cycle and remain within this cyclical structure that we've got forming here, by the way, Bitcoin topping out as per 4-year cycle would basically make it very, very likely that the other cyclical trends, which is this structure here, would be valid as well. So if Bitcoin is going to act perfectly normal on a cyclical level as per 4-year cycle and top out in October 2025, it becomes highly likely that other elements of cyclical structure, such as this kind of regression band that I've drawn in here, will remain as well. Therefore, if 4-year cycle remains valid, we will top out on Bitcoin around 130K in October 2025. Now, the problem is, as I said before, I'm not totally convinced by the 4-year cycle. And hence, I think we have to consider other possibilities where Bitcoin will top out. Okay, now one of those possibilities stems from the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, Bitcoin dominance, of course, is a chart that measures the strength of Bitcoin in relation to altcoins. And what we can notice is that there is a trend here on the Bitcoin dominance chart, a hidden trend. When the Bitcoin dominance starts dropping, okay, which generally happens after the halving and after Bitcoin breaking all-time highs, as per the yellow and blue circles, when it starts dropping, it has historically taken around 300 days for cryptocurrency to reach a bull market top, okay? So it started dropping over here, reached 300 days to reach a bull market top. Exact same thing happened in 2021, 300 days to reach a bull market top, which happened in November 2021. Okay, if that's going to occur again, let's just say hypothetically that we have seen the top on Bitcoin dominance. Let's say we've seen it already, right? If we haven't seen it, it's likely very, very close anyway. So let's say we've seen it. 300 days from April, which is when Bitcoin dominance topped, would take us to around February 2025. Okay, so now we have a different date range top for Bitcoin in this bull market, February 2025. Okay, so let's draw that in. Now, what would the price of Bitcoin be according to this cyclical structure in February 2025? It would be at around 113, 114,000. Okay, so we have 4-year cycle saying about 130. We have Bitcoin dominance saying about 114, something like that. And then we have another trend as well we can look at, and that is this monthly chart trend. Now, obviously the monthly chart's very, very important for Bitcoin, but the underlying structures, the cyclical structures, are very important as well. Now we have yellow lines on this monthly chart, very important to look at, okay? What you'll notice about these yellow lines horizontally in the price is that they are the dividing zones between the bull market and the bear market, generally speaking. In fact, they're the bear market resistance lines, I like to call them. We are not out of a bear market until Bitcoin breaks these lines. Now you might be thinking, well, these lines are just made up. No, they're not made up, because if we go to the monthly chart and we draw in 67 on the monthly chart RSI, the yellow line in the monthly chart RSI, we find that that is the relative level to the yellow lines in the price chart. And how do we know that? We know that because every time we've rejected from the levels on the price chart in yellow, we have also rejected from 67 on the monthly chart RSI. If they were not relative levels, if they were not connected, that would be a absolutely obscene coincidence, okay? To the point in which it's very unlikely that's the case. So what's the likely scenario? The likely scenario is these levels are connected and they mean something. Now, since 67 on the monthly chart RSI means something, we can go ahead and take a look at something a bit deeper. We can say, okay, this level is very important, 67 on the monthly chart RSI. So historically, what is the trend surrounding that? Are there any trends we can use to predict Bitcoin date range tops? We can actually identify trends. For example, from when we break above 67 on the monthly chart RSI, which basically indicates the start of the bull market, it took 480 days to reach a top in 2013. Okay, same story. It took in 2016 around 420 days. In 2020, it took to reach an actual price top 365 days. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's not a trend, but it is actually a trend. What do you notice about all these numbers? All of these numbers, okay, are very, very critical, and they actually do form a trend. For example, 480 minus 60 days is 420. 420 minus 60 days is 360. Okay, it's one of these things again, where it would be very unlikely for this to be a coincidence. There's too many coincidences on this chart for this to be a coincidence, okay? So we can extrapolate that further and we can say, okay, 360, what's 360 minus 60? It's 300 days. Therefore, from the breakout point of 67 monthly chart RSI, we measure 300 days and we see that brings us to a top in around November this year, okay? So we have 3 different date range predictions on Bitcoin coming from 3 different forms of analysis. One of them says it's going to be November this year. One of them says it's going to be February this year. One of them says it's going to be October this year. Now, just for the record, where do I think the top's going to be? I don't know, but if I had to guess, gun to my head, I think it would be most likely within that Q1 region next year. I think November's too early based on Bitcoin dominance. I think it would be at the start, somewhere, in the first 4 or 5 months of next year. So for me personally, I think this February prediction would be most accurate. I do think it is likely that we deviate from the cyclical structure this time in the 4-year cycle. But if we are going to, for example, top out in the November prediction, which is valid, that would take us to around 110K. So again, the price targets for Bitcoin currently sitting at around 110K, 114K, and around 130K, based on 3 different methods of finding the date range top. Now, again, I want to bring you back to the very important point I made at the start of the video. It is not guaranteed at all that Bitcoin remains within this blue channel structure. We could break this entire structure as a whole, and that would change everything and throw all of our analysis out the window, pretty much. But the trend is your friend until it ends, and it has not happened yet. We will discuss that if it does happen. What we need to know is this. We need to know these levels are important, because when we approach that level, and if we do start to see major resistance at that level, if we do start to see signs of Bitcoin topping, we are ahead of the market. We're ahead of the game, because we know, okay, this is an established trend. Perhaps this is actually the top. Whereas people who are betting on Bitcoin breaking all the trends and starting something entirely new that it's never done before, they won't even know we're at resistance. They'll be calling for high prices and they'll be left holding bags 80% down, like everyone has been historically, or most people have been historically in altcoin seasons when they refuse to sell when the top's in, okay? So it's very important to know what the trends are, even if you don't particularly think they're going to hold. And that's pretty much the camp I'm in right now, personally. It's very important to know what the trends are, because the trend is your friend until it ends, even if you disagree with them and even if you think this time they might break. Very important to still look at them, still watch them, because they are important and they are still valid. And your subjective opinion about whether they're valid or not doesn't mean anything. The fact of the matter is, you have the data there in front of you. You need to utilize it to the best of your ability. And look, worst case scenario, it breaks. Cool. You're prepared for both cases, right? So very important to understand what the trends are. Right now, the trends, in my opinion, are suggesting that we see a top on Bitcoin above 100K, depending on where the date is. It varies, but somewhere between 110, 130K, if we are to remain within the cyclical trends. That is what Bitcoin is suggesting. If we are to break the cyclical trends, I don't know where Bitcoin will go. But again, if we are remaining within the cyclical trends, somewhere in that 110K to 130K region makes a lot of sense to me, based on what I'm seeing in these charts right here. So I think this is a very useful video. I think it's very important. I think you guys should chart up these lines, have them on your chart and watch them very closely. It's very important to have, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Go ahead and check out the BingX and BitGet exchanges. BingX is global non-KYC. You can sign up from anywhere in the world as per this writing right here. Sign up and claim rewards up to 5,125 USDT with my referral link down below. Additionally, you'll get a 15% trading fee discount with my referral link. Guys, if you're from anywhere in the world, you can use this exchange. And if you want an alternative exchange, BitGet is always available. That is global KYC minus the USA, so check that out as well. Again, 15% trading fee discount with my referral link. BingX and BitGet, check them out. And then finally, guys, the Crypto Academy's Become a Trader 10-unit course is on a sale right now. We're teaching people how to trade in a course format. You can do it at your own pace. It's about 30 hours of content, very good value, teaches you everything you need to know. Again, bull market sale for a limited time. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.